What's going on, guys? Artificial Rest here, and today I am going to be bringing you a brand new design tutorial, and we are going to set out to create a 3D YouTube banner actually, and it's gonna be something in the style of this type of banner with the Cinema4D 3D text effect, and we're gonna drag it into Photoshop and make the color corrections in there. So this is going to be a two-part tutorial. This first part I'm going to be covering what we have to do in Cinema 4D to get the 3D text rendered out properly. And also for this tutorial you are going to need some materials which you can download in the description. Also you can see the link on the screen, but as always it will, as I said, it will be in the description. So once you have downloaded this Lightroom materials file, all you can do is just simply double click it and you'll get some kind of error because some of the plugins are missing, but it doesn't matter because you just want these materials down here. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and go into MoGraph and MoText. We're gonna have to add some text, so it's pretty self-explanatory that we have to do that. And to delete, or not delete, but to edit this text, just highlight the text on the side here, and we are going to type in, let's see, we can type in artificial. Don't need to press enter, keep forgetting, use to Photoshop. And if you hold down shift and drag it, it will like keep the same line. So you won't snap to, or like you can't do this, it will hold the general line that you had in the first place. So what we want to do now is pick a font. So you can simply just, I'm not quite sure if you actually have to highlight the text, but I like to do that. But you know, the text layer is selected. So we can simply just go ahead and go into the fonts. Depending on how many fonts you have, this will be a bit slow to load. And I am going to use a font by an amazing YouTube designer called Evan Eckhard. Pretty sure some of you guys have heard of him. He's I would say he's one of the best YouTube designers I've ever seen, and the link to his stuff will be in the description as well as the link to his page for the cleaner font. And it's an amazing font and it looks really cool. Let's see here. Alright, so now we have the text, but you can see that it's small, kind of 3D effect going on. But what we want to do is going to we want to change the horizontal spacing a bit depending on what you want. Sometimes you would, well, I wouldn't say that you would do this in any kind of circumstances, but you might want big spacing, or I'll just stick with, let's see, have some spacing, 3 centimeters. That will do fine. That'll do fine for now. And what you always also want to do is change the depth to let's see, 60. Put it around 60, I think. That looks decent enough. Around 60. You can, all of these settings, you can, like the first time you try, I recommend doing it the same as I'm doing, just to get kind of like the feel of it, and the next time you should try and change out the settings for your own. And now what we want to do is go into the caps tab here, and we'll go into fillet cap. As you can see, it will create like a outline. We'll do the same with the radius, and we'll change the radius on both down to 1. Not too big of an outline. Of course, that is all your reference. If you want a big outline, by all means, kind of like a rock kind of outline, chisel outline actually. But for this, I'll just keep it at 1. 1 for now. Simple and easy. And now what you want to do is go into, or with the MoText layer highlighted, you want to go into MoGraph and then into Effector at the top and go down to random. This will randomize the letters, We don't want it too crazy because, oh shit, didn't mean to move that. We don't want it too crazy because we want to still be able to see what it spells out. So you will get into, don't remember what frame, or maybe it's both of those. Yeah, both of these. But what you want to do is go into, just click the parameter and tick the rotation. We'll change all of this back to 0 so that we can see the standard text. And now you can start, you know, playing around with some different stuff. I don't want a too crazy effect on this, so I'll just keep it a bit. I'll just randomize it just a little bit, not too much, because when you see the final result by the end of part 2, the Photoshop tutorial part, you will see why. We don't want anything too crazy. Maybe just something like this, like they are a bit randomized. Okay, so now what we want to do is click the mode text layer again, Control C and Control V to create a copy of it. You can also right click, I believe, and copy it, maybe. I don't think you can. It's just Control C and Control V to copy it, like every normal person used to do copy and paste different stuff on a computer. And now that we are here with the mode text copy layer selected, we can click and hold this array icon and go down into atom array. And to get this to show, we are going to have to drag the mode text into the atom array so that the atom array is added to the mode text. There we go. As you can see, that works. And you can change the cylinder radius. We're not going to have that too crazy. The sphere radius, we should pop down into, let's see, we can put it down to 1. Just like 1. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. The more stuff is moved around, the worse it's gonna look. As you know, it's pretty usual with all the stuff. So we can hide that one, hide that now. And then we can go into our materials. Let's see if we can find it. Should be called material 9. If I can find it. It's kind of like a grayish. That was not that one. It's a lot of material 9. What the hell is it? I know I saw it. There we go. Mat 9. It was the square one. The square one. And click and drag the material onto the original mode text layer. You'll see a small color change, nothing too much, because you usually are gonna make all the color effects in Photoshop later on. Now that we have this, that one, we can go ahead and pick. It doesn't matter what color you pick on the outline, or the material you choose for the outline, because you will be using Photoshop to color correct, as I just said. So we can just pick the blue one and drag it onto the atom array. And if I click in this box now, it should deselect it, and we will see a blue line. There we go. Once that is done, we can copy the original mode text layer once again, put it on top. And we have to go into our plugins and use something called Throwsy. This will randomize, excuse me, randomize some pixels behind this and make, you know, like those explosions that you see. Let's see here if I have it on this one. Yeah, it will create this kind of like pointy explosions behind the text. You don't have to use it, just if you feel like that effect need to be added to your design, you should you should download Thrausi. It's a free download. It's a free plugin. It's an amazing plugin, and the link to that as well will also be in the description. And once you've downloaded it and installed it, you can just simply click Thrausi. I'm not quite sure how many pieces we should use. Maybe around 50. We use around 60 pieces. So, and then you click break now, and this is going to analyze and break down each letter. And what this does is when we when we are done with this, we can just simply go down into our MoGraph and effects or effectors again and use the same randomize as we did on the text. And when we do that, you will see this crazy explosion, and it's gonna look pretty decent. If we take a look at this, right? I don't know why I keep opening that. I meant this one. If you take a look at this, you can see the random pointy effects are done here, and this is no other color correction to it other than adding the blue outline that I just did in Cinema4D. All the different color corrections goes into this, and as you can see here, or in Photoshop, and as you can see, it doesn't matter what color we use for the outline because it's going to be changed anyway, so it has nothing to say. Also, the color of the back, or the explosion, or the pixel explosion back, I usually just use the same material colors as the original MoGraph text. Let's see how far this is now. Oh, it's almost done. 89 now. It's just on the L. And this is when you usually find out that you have some kind of typo and have to do it all over again. Come on, 97. It's so close to done. Oh, and there we go. There, it's done. And this window doesn't disappear when it's done, so you can just X out of that. And now that we have all these, you might notice these red X's, which means you have to click, and you can just simply click and just drag the mouse pointer up, and it will enable all of them. And once you have done that, you can go into you can just simply press Alt and G to group them, and this will create a null group with all the different Thrausi letters in here. What we want to do now, we are going to select all the Thrausi pieces. This doesn't actually work if we just select the the null object or the folder with the Thrausi elements in them. It won't actually select the Thrausi emblems or the Thrausi emblems, the Thrausi elements, and randomize them when we do it. So you have to manually go into the null group and simply select all of them by hand. And once we've done that, we can go into MoGrapher, Effector, and Random, and you will see this. Now these are kind of like spheres and squares and some triangles and all that. But what we want to do is to add first, before I forget it, drag the random into the null, or else the rest of the Thrausi elements won't be affected. What we can do is go into deformer and go into point, and you will see this crazy pointy stuff. That is the effect I used for the artificial, or just the rest, I think. The rest, yeah, just rest text here. It's not broken up as much. I probably used this around between 40 and 50 in the Thrausi window. And I will change it back to off because I want these. We can take a look at the other ones as well. That looks kind of cool, like. And going to point, we check that. And polygon, kind of the same as points, but not as harsh. I'll take it off because I don't want to, or I just want these small ones to be in the background when we actually do the Photoshop edit. So now we can simply, I think it's control click and drag on the material to drag it onto the null, and it will copy it. Excuse me. And also with the null object selected, you see these one green, one blue, and one red arrow, and this will decide, not that one. This will decide where the explosion is going to be. And you usually want to move the blue one, because this will move it back or forth. So you kind of want it sort of just a little bit breaking through the text. So if you have it like this, it looks kind of boring, right? This defeats the purpose of having a 3D effect. And if you do this, it's impossible to read. So you just want it around here. I think that is good. Yeah, I think that's good. We'll use that. We'll use that. All right, so what we will do now is find a camera position that we want and render it out. So press the camera object, and by using this you can move around on the oh, not that. You can move around. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Let's see here. Never mind. Never mind. Screw it. Just do it like this. You don't have to click the camera angle. Just click and drag while the camera is selected, and you'll get the where the camera is going to be when you render it out. And you can like do that just for the reference of having the camera frame there, so you can see what actually gets into the frame. Let's see, come on. Just use the arrow keys to get it like center, and the scroll wheel on the mouse to kind of like move it. And if we want to render this out, or see how it's gonna look before we actually render it out, we can click this one, I think. No, we can't. We need to go into this one first. That is the preview of the render, as it will show on the PNG file you'll save. Oh shit, just knocked my hand into my desk. And as you can see, we want to center it more. And we don't want to do it like that. We want to do it like, not like that either. Not like that either. Shit, come on. Just have the camera icon selected all the time, and you won't have these problems. We'll have it like that. Zoom out just a little bit. And now what we can do is just click that again, and it will be more in the center of the screen. And I'm not going to waste time rendering this, because we can already see that it's kind of like this cool effect, and this is what we want. So what you can do now is go into the this icon right here on the left, or on the right actually, with the wheel on, and we go to save. Let's see, we can save it onto our desktop, and just do that. Easy as that. Easy as that. There we go. And there we have the render, and we'll save it so that it has a output file or output place to go to. And what you also want to do is change the dimension of it to 1920 by 1080 full HD settings. Resolution, just keep it 72, and don't bother changing anything else. And in this, have the PNG selected so that the background will be transparent, so it will be much easier to use in Photoshop, so you don't have to actually manually remove the background, because that would be a bitch to remove with all these elements behind the actual text. So now that's done, you can go ahead and close that window, and now you can press is this one? Yeah, it was that one. It is the middle one to render the actual finished render. Let me just zoom out and let this render its stuff, and I'll be back when it's done. Alright, now that it's done, we can simply go close this window, minimize this, and go into our desktop or your folder where you saved it. Just click on this, and you'll see we have the file or the PNG render of the text we just made in Cinema4D, and this is the text that we are going to be editing in part 2 of this tutorial, where we take this text into Photoshop and add some cool effects and color corrections to it. Be sure to keep a lookout for the part 2 of this tutorial. As always, I'll talk to you guys later.